Hi friends, today we're going to talk about something that in the past week or so has been accomplishing the Herculean task of bringing the right and the left together to focus their hate on one common enemy, and that would be the Blue Origin space flight with the all-female flight crew. We'll get into that in a little bit, but there's 1,000 videos already on the internet talking about all aspects of this thing. I'm sick of hearing about it, so in order to purge it from my mind, I thought I'd make my own little video, bringing all of the facts that I know of together. And the first thing I'd like to address is all of the stupid conspiracy theories around this thing. The launch, they're saying, looks like it could be AI or CGI. And that's only because the way that film stabilization works now, it does look fake. It looked totally fake. The landing of the SpaceX rocket looked totally fake. Even real things are looking fake now on the internet, and it's just something we're going to have to learn to deal with, learn to see through. But it actually happened. They went up into almost space. The other thing is their landing. They said that it looked like it hit real hard and all of the dust plumed out. Well, the way those space rockets, the capsule is designed, it gives out a puff of smoke right before it hits the ground. If you watch the footage from inside of the capsule, you see it go boo, boo. There was the puff of smoke that kind of creates a padding, softening the landing when it hits. So that's another thing. The other thing, everybody's saying, how come this isn't scorched up? Every space vehicle that we've known that comes back through the atmosphere comes back all scorched up because of burning up in the atmosphere. Well, they didn't go up that high. They just went to the Kármán line, which is 62 miles up. And that's not enough time for them to achieve any kind of burn on entry. So that explains that one. The door being opened from the inside. You can see on the videos that there is a hatch on the inside for emergency exits when I'm sure it's locked down hard when they're in space, so nobody just freaks out and opens the airlock. But they just needed a photo op, and they needed old sugar daddy Bezos to come and open the door for them so they could get their photo op. And the girls were just stupid and opened up the door from the inside, and they said, no, close it, we have to open it from the outside. So that's all that was. Now getting into the actual nuts and bolts of the thing. If you can name all 6 women that were on this flight, I commend you for being thoroughly knowledgeable about things that are going on, but you are also undoubtedly chronically online, because in the long-term history of this event, they want it to be known as the first all-female flight crew. But what it's going to go down in history as is, remember that time that Katy Perry went to space? Which is sad, because there was a couple of ladies on that flight that were actual scientists. Aisha Bowe is an actual rocket scientist, engineer, and the most impressive of the ladies is Amanda Nguyen. Sorry, I messed up her last name. Her story is truly inspiring and tragic, and a lot of places are billing her as an activist or what have you, and she is that, but she also is an actual aerospace scientist. She is an actual astronaut. That go and look up her story. I'm not going to get into all the details of that right now, but it's truly inspiring and empowering. And it's totally overshadowed by the fact that you got loudmouth professional Oprah friend Gayle King and hippy dippy Katy Perry to be the spokespeople for this whole thing. This is a pandering Amazon commercial for space tourism disguised as female empowerment. It's Girlboss Cringe, performative feminism paid for by a billionaire sugar daddy that wanted to send his girlfriend into space. It's all pretty tone deaf. It's obviously not for us peasants down here fighting for rights and rent and food scarcity and housing scarcity. As NASA is stripping its funding and erasing real scientific achievements of women and people of color, and they've fired the actual director of DEI. It's just disgusting. This is an 11-minute, $1 million roller coaster ride on a penis-shaped rocket. Billionaires launching millionaires into almost space. It's elite astronaut cosplay with their custom designer-made costumes. I'm not going to lie. It looks like a cool experience, and I'm sure it's breathtaking to be up there. And it could have been fine if they didn't self-aggrandize so much like they're changing the world. It's just a mockery. It's a propped up publicity stunt as woman empowerment for a guy that was on the stage at the inauguration for this administration, systematically taking women's rights away, and for a guy that treats his peasant workers the way he does, that made him a billionaire. That being said, the social media backlash has been swift, and the only two people on that flight that a normal person would be able to name are just making it worse every time they open their mouths. Katy Perry said something about bringing glam into space and putting the ass in astronaut, and I'm sure that just inspires girls to go get into STEM and science. She says she's always been interested in astronomy and astrology, which just makes my brain hurt, because that's like saying I've always been interested in chemistry and magic. Astronomy is an actual science of space. Astrology is made up gobbledygook. When they got back, they got out and kissed the ground like they were the astronauts that were up there stuck for 9 months. When asked about how she felt about the trip, she said, "I just feel connected to love," and said a whole bunch of other hippy-dippy bullshit. The whole 4 minutes that they were weightless, instead of staring out the windows like the other ladies and just taking in the awe of the spectacle, she spent the whole time in the camera, me, 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 and promoting her tour, and it was just disgusting. Now let's talk about professional Oprah friend Gayle King. She's getting a lot of backlash because she says, "Don't call it a ride." Well, you know what? You had 14 hours of training, which included meditation and suit fitting. You're not a flight crew. You were passengers on a roller coaster. It was a ride. She also said, "Did you go to space? Did you go to space?" Well, you know what? That's kind of the point, because most of us will never ever be in a position where we can afford to take that trip. So the definition of astronaut is that you have to go 50 miles into space, not even to the Kármán line, but 50 miles into space, and have contributed some sort of scientific experiments or advancement, or controlling the ship that you're on. So pilots and people driving the ship and people doing the science experiments all count as astronauts. None of those ladies did any of those things on that trip. They were strapped in, they were shot into space, and they floated back down. They pushed no buttons, they pulled no levers. It was an autonomous flight with no experiments. So yeah, you took a ride. You were a tourist. You were a passenger. Next, let's talk about this being billed as the first all-female flight crew. Well, that's not true either, because in 1963, Russian cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova spent 3 days in space. And she actually trained 4 years to be able to do that. Her story is amazing too. Go and look that up. Valentina Tereshkova. They also had 2 other females in the Russian space program that were put into space, including the first human spacewalk was by a Russian female cosmonaut. Then we want to talk about this being a celebrity thing. In 2021, Blue Origin sent up William Shatner on the New Shepard, this same flight. So they're not even the first celebrities in space. So calm down a little bit. In November of 2024, science communicator Emily Calandrelli took this same flight on the 28th New Shepard mission. And she actually did some very simple experiments, and she billed herself as the 100th woman in space. So does that tell you a little bit of how insignificant this whole thing is? The video about her flight on her YouTube channel is pretty interesting and awe-inspiring also. And it's way better than all this bullshit about Katy Perry going to space. It's just really sad because I really like Katy Perry as a pop star and as a celebrity. She's been going through a pretty significant flop era lately, and she's doing everything she can to try to bust out of that, and this was just not the way to do it. I don't think there was nothing innovative about this. They're wasting and destroying essential resources, pumping tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and saying this is for the future of Earth. And everybody was on the flight was talking about how this is an advancement for humans, and you're just helping kill the world for advertising, for space tourism. You need to just chill with the rhetoric and have a little bit of humility. And it's just takes so much away from the fact that at least 4 of the women on that flight have significant stories and accomplishments that they deserve to be there. And nobody's talking about them because this was Katy Perry and Gayle King and Jeff Bezos' trophy wife getting shot into space. There's so much more to say about this subject, but it's just not even worth it. I just want it all to go away. I'm sick of the pictures, and I'm sick of all the clips of these dumb women trying to justify. Go and read William Shatner's post about how he felt after his Blue Origin trip, and it really sums up everything. Also, go and watch a video from a science communicator named Angela Collier. She did a whole video about this, is where I got a lot of the information for this, and that video just really kind of wound me up even more, and it was really good. Hank Green did a good video talking about this whole subject, and Anthony Fantano, of all people, made a funny little cringe video summing up the whole thing. This is just another example of the oligarchic class speaking down to us peasants and trying to frame it like they're changing the world, and which is why the left and the right both were able to focus their energy on kind of pointing out the stupidity of this whole thing. I don't know. That's something that happened. See you on the next one.